Good morning. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it. And obviously, there's kind of a common theme, and I think we're going to go over some things about how to keep your head when everybody else is losing theirs. And Laura's actually going to continue this kind of theme about how to deal with potentially scary situations. So we're seeing a lot of these things. I was actually with Ryan down in Tampa for the NAME conference, and just a lot of learning and a lot of reflection with a lot of other money managers out there. And it is kind of a crazy time, and a lot of people are losing their heads right now. I do want to give you a positive example of something that actually happened this week. I have a pilot's background, and there was a small airplane, a little single-seater or not single-seater, but small aircraft, and the pilot became incapacitated. The passenger, who had no flight experience, no training at all, I don't even know if he'd ever been in a small airplane before, was able to take over the airplane, and with the help of an air traffic controller, who happened to also be an instructor pilot, they were able to talk him down and be able to land the airplane safely. And it's just one of those amazing stories of how somebody kept their heads and their wits about them at this point and were able to get themselves out of a really bad situation. Along those same lines, if you want to see what happens to a professional pilot, I highly recommend the movie Sully with Tom Hanks, talking about how a large passenger aircraft had to land in the Hudson. Didn't hurt anybody in New York City, and everybody on board. There wasn't even a single injury, I believe, on that. It's just an amazing part where you hear somebody that has really keeping their wits about them and overcoming some severe adversity, obviously, and able to keep this at our heads about ourselves. We need a sense of well-being. Okay. And we want to talk about that. How do we have a sense of well-being? Well, if you remember your psychology courses, the first part is it's very important for all human beings to have connection through family, through friends, through trusted advisors. I think of healthcare. There's a number of nutritionists, doctors, pharmacies. I have a number of folks that I trust and go to. It's important that we maintain those connections. And obviously, it's been a challenge during these past couple of years with COVID. The second part is safety. And I don't mean just the physically safe, which is obviously also becoming more and more challenging these days, but mentally safe. I mean, if you see all the things that are going on online or in relationships, having a sense of safety is very, very key to our sense of well-being. And then third is autonomy. And I mean this in a couple of different ways. First off, in mobility. There are people that I'm very close to in my life that they're towards the end of theirs, and their mobility is not nearly what it once was. I had to have hip replacement surgery back in November, and I did it because it was affecting my autonomy. But there's also the self-sustaining, and I mean that from, in this case, a financial situation of making sure that we have the financial resources to make the decisions we want in our lives. And this is where our financial planning expertise, our behavioral financial advice, best decisions for yourself by giving you this kind of information. One of the ways that we help folks with their well-being is we want to make sure that we are having, your finances have a large impact on that financial well-being. We want to make sure that everything is in line with your finances to increase and maximize that sense of well-being. There's a couple of steps that we're going to go through today, and I'm going to take you actually in reverse order. The first is going to be with behavior. This is actually the last step. This is our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. And our thoughts become our feelings become our actions. So how do we go through and align these and make sure that we have appropriate behavior, that we are making good decisions? One of the things I always want to emphasize is when we are feeling stressed or feeling fear, we tend to make poor decisions. And I reflect back to World War II days when the British had the poster up, stay calm and carry on, because they knew people would make better decisions if they stayed calm. The second part is to generate goals, and the goals will drive our behavior. But we need to set up goals based upon our needs being primary and our wants being secondary. We also need to address the present as well as when we're addressing the future. And we need to be able to balance these things. The way I like to explain it is I have a cousin who summited Everest as a guide. And everybody goes, oh, that's amazing. And everybody thinks about that one day in his career. Everest was never summited in one day. In fact, it took him 30 years of training and 3 attempts to get there. Also, it's always with challenges. We're talking about the challenges, and nothing is unprecedented, but right now there just seems to be an awfully large amount of challenges that are going on in life. We're seeing these financially. And I believe that it helps calm the storm if you have a sense of goals and you're looking at, okay, I've got today taken care of. I'm still focusing on long term as well. And that leads into how do we determine those? Well, I always believe that if you allow your moral compass to determine your goals, you are going to find that your goals are in line and reflect what is truly important to you. I refer to your moral compass, your values, as the world that is as the stars and the sun to guide your ship. These are the unmovable things in life, and they are just critical. And if you do this, it flows through well. And what I have found is it takes an awful lot of the fear, the stress, and the anxiety out of our financial lives.